Boys, it's Chin's UFC Fight Night. Song Yadong versus Figgy. It's going on this weekend. And, this is a really fucking good card. This is a really fucking good card. Usually the Chinese cards, the Asian cards, whenever they're on at like fucking 2 a.m. Eastern, whatever the fuck it is, I feel like sometimes they're pretty weak. This one is very, very strong. This main card is incredible. Every single fight here is great. And even the prelims, there's a really, really good set of prelims here. There's a lot of good fights, a lot of really fun matchups, some debuts that can be big for divisions. Going to be going over this as well as one of my most anticipated fights of the year, Kai Asakura, the return at bantamweight versus Cameron Smotherman. Starting with the prelims, Loma Lookboonmee versus Jacqueline Amarim. I am a big fan of Amarim. I've been watching her since she was in LFA. She's one of the most promising women's prospects I've seen in years, honestly, probably ever. And I don't really care about women's MMA, and I doubt that many of you guys watching do as well. Jacqueline Amarim is fundamentally one of the best women's grapplers you'll ever watch. And she actually goes and looks for the finish. She's very fucking good. And she's somebody that you should root for if you don't like women's MMA, because she is the complete opposite of what everybody dislikes. I think she's going to finish Loma Lookboonmee by submission, probably in round one. I could see Loma, doing well maybe with some of the striking on the feet, but I just don't, I don't see it taking long for Amarim to find a position or some sort of takedown or something in the clinch on Loma before she gets taken down and subbed, probably via armbar or something like that. I'm picking Amarim by submission round one, maybe round two. Moving on, we have Kung Jia-ju versus Rodrigo Vera. I bet you didn't think I could say that fucking name. Well, I guess I can. I'm picking Rodrigo Vera by decision here. I don't really rate either of these guys. Ju is very, very fun, but I think a lot of Asian fighters are. That's just like their brand. This is definitely one of my least anticipated fights on the card, just because it's like it's just here, because one of them is Chinese. I'm picking Vera by decision. I actually do kind of rate him fairly highly as a prospect. I think he's really, really good. I think he's really solid everywhere. I could just see him outpacing him to a decision. I'm picking Rodrigo Vera, probably 30-27. Angela Hill versus Xiang Jingnan, the Panda from One Championship, one of the greatest One Championship female fighters of all time. I'm picking Xiang here, probably by decision as well. I would say finish, but Angela Hill is one of the most unfinishable ladies of all time. I'm just going to pick Xiang by decision. I think she's a great acquisition by the UFC, despite how old she is. She's fighting somebody that is 41 in Angela Hill. I think that she'd have no problem getting this done. I think that she still has a lot to give to this sport. I think she has a lot to give to this division, which I think is weak, as with Mackenzie Dern as the champion, with Jillian Robertson fighting for a title. Despite how, interesting that matchup might be, given that they're both primarily submission finishers, I think that there's a lot of fighters in this division that are better. I think Xiang is probably championship level if you look at it that way. So I'm picking her by decision. I'd be very, very surprised if Angela Hill could pull this off. Moving on, Ray Saruya versus Louis Garule. Louis Garule just filled in a few days ago. He had an incredible fight in his last appearance just a few weeks ago, which I think he got robbed fight of the night for, but that's fine. It was fucking crazy. Ray Saruya, on the other hand, is a completely different opponent than Garule's previous one. I'm forgetting his name. I sound like a retard. Daniel Barres. Daniel Barres is a completely different fighter than Ray Saruya. That was stupid. I know that fight was just a couple weeks ago, but I forgot his name. Ray Saruya is a grappler. He's got okay hands, but he really is just a grappler. If you ask me, Louis Garule is probably going to be able to resist the takedown. While Barres has a lot of grappling in his pocket, that fight took place primarily on the feet because Garule was able to resist the takedown. But Barres is a much better striker than Saruya. I really do just think that Saruya is a fighter. Fucking notification, bro. Saruya is a fighter that really can't do anything unless he gets it to the ground, and Gurul's going to keep it standing and piece him up on the feet. I see a Gurule round 2, round 3 TKO here. While I do rate Tsuruya, I just don't think that he's really as good as he should be, considering that he's so one-dimensional, and even the grappling can't win him fights against fighters like Gurule, and you saw that against Joshua Van. So I'm picking Louis Gurule. But you never know. He's on short notice, so it's kind of a weird pick. He's got the big age disadvantage, but still in his prime. I'm picking Gurule by round 2, round 3 TKO. Fuck it. Cody Haddon versus Aoriqi Lang. Aoriqi Lang is really, really deceptively good, but he just has a lot of ugly losses, and Cody Haddon is one of, if not the best, Australian prospect we've seen in years, I guess, other than Quillan Salkeld, right? Cody Haddon is really that good, though. He really is that good, and I think Cody Haddon is a future top 10 fighter, at the very least. I really do rate his skill set highly. He's very well-rounded. He has an incredible submission game, incredible back take, really, really strong striking as well. I'm picking Cody Haddon by, I want to say, like, ground and pounds TKO round 2. I can see him really dominating Aoriqi Lang on the ground in this fight. Who did he just beat? He beat somebody very impressively. Dan Argueta. That's an impressive win, and the way he did it was very impressive. He beat Billy Brand on the Contender Series, which is a win that I really rate highly as well. Billy Brand is solid. I'm picking Cody Haddon by round 2, round 3 ground and pound TKO. Maybe a rear naked choke, but probably ground and pound TKO. That's a really solid fight. I'm excited for that one. Moving on. Come on, man. Meng Ding versus Jose Henrique. Henrique is a really weird fighter. I've watched a couple of his fights in the past in these fuck-ass promotions that he's fighting in. I don't really rate him at all. And Meng Ding is not bad. Meng Ding is a solid Chinese fighter. I just don't think a guy like Jose Henrique is going to be able to pull this off. It's Meng Ding in his fucking home country. Henrique is flying all the way. He's much younger, much more inexperienced, clearly, by like 30 fucking fights. That's crazy. Meng Ding also just a lot more well-rounded. Jose Henrique looked very one-dimensional on the feet, kind of just like a KO merchant. I don't really rate him very highly at all. Didn't really look good against Yusaku Kinoshita, even though that was a few years ago. Picking Meng Ding here. Picking Meng Ding by decision. Luis Felipe Diaz versus Isak Lee. I'm picking Felipe Diaz here. I like Felipe Diaz. I think he's a solid fighter from Brazil. I think his record's a little bit deceptive. I think that he's got a good, well-rounded game. I think Isak Lee, I don't really know who he is, but I'm going to guess that he's kind of like a submission guy. I feel like all the Korean guys tend to be, a little bit of both. Von Fluchoke, though. Fought in heat. Interesting. Yeah, I don't really know who this guy is. I'm not going to lie to you. But I do know who Felipe Diaz is, and I'm picking Felipe Diaz by, how does Isak Lee usually lose? Submission? I don't really know if he'd sub him. I'll pick Felipe Diaz by decision. It's hard sometimes. Some of these Asian fighters are relatively unknown. Moving on, main card time. Main card time. Every fight here is awesome. Cannot wait. Starting with a banger. Alex Perez versus Sumu Darji. Sumu Darji is on a really, really nice run right now. But Perez is coming off of a really, really interesting performance against Asuam Abayev, where he looked great, right? Was that his last fight, or was that Energy? It was Energy, sorry. He fought Asuam Abayev, looked really good in it, and then shoved himself into a guillotine, like Andre Fili versus Melky Costa. Then he comes back around with Charles Johnson, misses weight, knocks him out cold. So he's a really interesting fighter, Perez, because I do think he's better than people think he is. He fought Figgy for the title, got steamrolled via guillotine, but he is really good. He is really good, like deceptively good. Sumu Darji, he's on a nice run right now. He's on, he went on that bad losing streak a few years ago, and he's kind of piecing it together again. I'm going to pick Alex Perez by TKO here. I do think that Sumu Darji's chin is really good, but I do think it's going to give out at some point, and if it's going to give out, it's going to be against a guy like Alex Perez who has like crazy power. Sumu Darji just has terrible defense. That's the thing. And while Perez doesn't have the best chin either, Sumu Darji just, by straight up defensive standards, I'm picking Perez alone because I think Sumu Darji takes too much damage in his fights, and there becomes a time where you've just been hit so much and you rely on your chin so much, you're going to fight a guy like Alex Perez and probably get TKO'd or caught at the very least. I'm picking Alex Perez by TKO in round 3. Moving on, Jake Matthews and Carlston Harris. Jake Matthews, I'm probably going to be picking by decision here. I don't rate Carlston Harris whatsoever. I don't really think he's very good. There was a point in time a few years ago where everybody thought that he was like, solid. I've never rated him. I don't think he's very good. Jake Matthews, on the other hand, has had a lot of really bad decisions, some weak performances in his past in the UFC, but as of late has looked really fucking good. He just had that fight against Chitty fucking Bang Bang, right? So he had Neil Magny. Oh, that was nasty. Oh my god, I forgot about that. I've completely pushed this out of my mind. He was beating the shit out of Neil Magny and then gets Darced. But let's ignore that. All right, we're going to ignore that one. The Chitty fight was insanely impressive. I rate Chitty very highly in this division. Francisco Prado, that's a very impressive win. That was a sick fight too. The Phil Rowe fight, same thing. Even though Phil Rowe is... loses a decision to Michael Morales. No shame in that. And that was a close fight. Jake Matthews is going to win this fight by decision. Carlston Harris is not very good. I'm picking Jake Matthews 30-27. Moving on. The people's main event. My main event. One of my favorite fighters of all time, Kai Asakura, will be moving up to bantamweight and fighting Cameron Smotherman. I'm nervous as shit for this fight, but Cameron Smotherman is the type of fighter to get flatlined by Kai Asakura. This is a nice layup. Cameron Smotherman, deceptively good grappler, deceptively good striker. He's good all around, but he's just a little bit slow in these areas. He stands up, he's a little bit slow. He's got good pressure, but he doesn't throw. I'm fucking rhyming and shit, man. Kai Asakura got me in a flow state right now. I really do believe that Kai Asakura is probably going to be able to knock out Smotherman in round 1. Maybe round 2. But Smotherman, he's got good defense. His chin is okay. His head movement is really where he strives. But there are times where he just is, he's pressuring you and he doesn't throw. And if he does that against Kai Asakura, he's going to get knocked out. And even then, I think Kai's just he's going to run this fight. He's going to run this fight. He's going to pressure him the entire time. And he's just going to find the right shot. Maybe he'll catch him with a knee on his way in. I really do rate Kai Asakura highly. And everybody who's been shitting on him, I think, I understand. I understand because he's looked so poor in the UFC. But, it's different against a guy like Smotherman. He's finally getting a fight that's winnable. Or that he should win. Obviously, he should have beat Tim Elliott. That's not the point. We're going to forget that fight ever happened because that shit broke my fucking heart. Kai Asakura is going to knock out Smotherman. I really do think he's going to do well in this division. I think he's big as fuck too, so why not? Kai Asakura, knockout round 1, round 2. Moving on, Sergey Pavlovich, Taliesin Teixeira. Just another example of heavyweights getting pushed to the top 5 for no reason whatsoever, just because the UFC's brain dead. And Dana doesn't know how to make fights anymore. It's a shame. Sergey Pavlovich is going to steamroll Taliesin Teixeira in round 1. He's going to probably, if you ask me, take him down in the beginning and ground and pound TKO him. Because it is too dangerous for Pavlovich to just go balls to the wall against a guy like Teixeira. It always is. Whether you rate Teixeira highly or not, I think he's terrible. But he is powerful as shit. Pavlovich is probably going to be able to take Teixeira down and just slam him up against the fence and fucking murk him. Kind of like Overeem did to Pavlovich a few years ago. So I see this fight going very quickly. Just a Pavlovich round 1 ground and pound TKO. Should be an easy one for Pavlovich. Teixeira is terrible. Moving on. Zhang Minyang versus Alonzo Menifield. Alonzo Menifield has to be... Oh yeah. I made a most chinny fighter of all time list, and Alonzo Menifield was up there. I do think that his chin is fucking dog shit. And I think as a fighter, skillfully, he's not that great either. I think he's gotten a lot of really, really lucky off performances. There's a streak of fighters that he has fought that I thought he was going to lose to every single time. Starting from here. I thought Jimmy Crute would beat him here. I thought Jacoby would beat him here. I thought Julius Walker would destroy him. I thought Omar Sy would destroy him. Albeit I picked Mirzakhanov and Olberg and Volkan to destroy him. Half the time he doesn't perform how you think he would. I'm picking Zhang Minyang here, though. Although I will say, I don't think Zhang Minyang has the best chin. I think that is one of the things that he has shown in his career. If you go back and watch his fights, he's gotten dropped a lot, TKO'd a lot. That's one of the things that he hasn't really shown in the UFC because he's been having quick fights. Alonzo Menifield, if he lands the right shot, he has the power to put Zhang Minyang out cold. But if we're going chin for chin, Zhang Minyang, and power for power, Zhang Minyang is literally just a better Alonzo Menifield. I mean, that's literally what he is. I'm picking Zhang Minyang by knockout in round 1. I'm picking a lot of round 1 TKOs here, but I mean, this is the type of card where it's going to happen. This is, look at these heavy punchers. Asakura, Pavlovich, Zhang Minyang, even Alex Perez, honestly. He knocks people out when he wins, so interesting fight there. But ultimately, it's probably going to be a pretty easy one for Zhang Minyang, who is looking to bounce back after losing to Johnny Walker via leg kicks. Song Yadong versus Davis and Figueiredo. This fight sucks. This fight sucks, and I'll tell you why. Figgy is a husk of his former self, and I just think he's checked out these days. Who doesn't love Figgy, right? He's one of the most beloved fighters in these lower weight classes, probably of all time. I mean, everybody loves him to death, and how can you not? He is just the fucking man. But he's trash now. And I hate to admit that, but he's just not capable of beating guys that are even in the top 10 of the division anymore. It's a shame. I know he just had that performance against fucking Quick. What's that guy's name? Montel Quick Jackson, right? But I don't rate Montel Jackson highly whatsoever. That was a fight that he should have won, and he did. I couldn't understand why he was such a big underdog there. That was super weird. But regardless, Figgy is not built to beat these guys. And I don't even rate Song Yadong very highly. I think Prime Figgy does laps around Song. I think he even probably TKOs him because he has the power to do so. Song is just going to take it easy, probably snipe him from the outside. It'll probably be similar to the Petr Yan and Figgy fight, where Figgy has his moments, but for the most part, he's just getting outranged, outsniped from the outside. He's just much faster Song these days. He's much more calculated and sharp on the feet. And I don't really think Figgy's going to be able to take advantage of his grappling advantage because Song has really good takedown defense, and we saw that against Ricky Simon. The only one who really has been able to dominate Song on the ground as of late was Petr Yan, but that wasn't really a domination more than it was just, he was picking and choosing his shots, blending it in with his striking, which Petr Yan has shown to do very well. He took down Merab that way many, many times, which is incredibly impressive. Figgy is going to just get out-sniped on the feet and probably TKO later decision. I'll probably lean decision because Figgy is still tough. His chin hasn't necessarily went. But his speed and everything else has. I pray that Figgy pulls this off, but it's just realistically his only chance of winning this fight is like a fluke KO, and Song has the craziest chin. It would be crazy to fluke KO your one top 10 win in this division via, knocking out a guy like Song Yadong. So I'm going to be picking Song. I think he's just round 1. Figgy might look a little bit sharper than we thought, but he'll just come in and maybe win round 1. Rounds 2, he'll start, Song will start to find his counters and stuff, and he'll start pumping the jab a lot more from the outside, start pressuring Figgy a little bit more against the fence, and, probably just starts teeing off on him. Rounds 2, 3, 4. Figgy just starts taking a lot of damage. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets dropped here or there. Maybe there's a 10-8 mixed in the middle there. Maybe round 5, Song can catch him with a counter while Figgy's carelessly going in, trying to go for a Hail Mary shot, and finds the TKO. But I'm going to be picking Song Yadong by 49-46 decision. Thorough domination by Song Yadong. Just a really weak main event, if you ask me. Honestly, I wouldn't even be against like Sergey versus Teixeira main eventing, but I get it, it's in China. Regardless, the card's great. This card's great. This is a short card, 13 fights. No, never mind. I got that. It looks short from here when I was just scrolling down. But this is a great fucking card, man. It should be great. Waking up at what time does it start Eastern? Is that 4 for the main? I think that's 4 for the main, or 4 for the prelims, I guess. That's going to be rough, boys. I'll be up. I'll be watching this shit. If you enjoyed the breakdown, let me know in the comments if you agree with any of these picks, disagree with any of these picks. This has been Chinned. I know I'm a bit late on this one. That's my fault. Forgot. This card's kind of going under the radar with all the crazy fight announcements that have been going on. So, yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Sub if you enjoyed. This has been Chin. See you in the next one. Goodbye.